Welcome back to the Resurgence Athletics Podcast. This is episode 4. My name's Dr. Ryan Goodell.
I'm Dr. Lucas Noguera.
And if you didn't know, the Olympics has concluded.
Just like that, it's over.
And we did pretty well this year. As in we mean the USA.
We did.
We did. 40 gold medals.
All right.
And we tied China, but we had the most medals.
There you go.
Coming away with a win for the Olympics. But we had some notable performances.
Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite Olympic sport to watch?
I think I want to say track and field.
Track and field?
Yeah.
I like the track and field in the swimming. Very impressive performances this year from swimming, women's gymnastics with Simone Biles. She did amazing this year. And the soccer team got another gold. The women's team pulled away with another gold. Their 5th straight gold medal in the Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
Why do they always turn it up for the Olympics? But like when the World Cup, we've won a couple, right? But not 5 in a row.
Not 5 in a row, for sure. But
we show up for the Olympics.
I mean, at least they're showing up for one of the two.
I mean, that's important too. I like when we come away with the Olympic gold in any of them, but soccer specifically. The women's American national team, pretty prestigious organization now. They're racking up a ton of wins across the board, and they're always in contention for a championship. The men's team, not
as good.
The same track record.
Unfortunately.
What do you think some of the differences are with that?
I think that at least for the U.S., my parents are from Brazil. My whole family's from Brazil. For like women's soccer, especially like in England, Germany, Brazil, were banned for the mid to late 1900s.
Really?
And after the ban was lifted, funding for these sports in these other countries was not really there. And there was such a huge focus on more of the men's soccer, which South American countries, European countries, they focused more on that versus here in the U.S. I think that, the funding for the U.S. girls national team was much more vast than it was for these other countries. So I think that put them already at an advantage.
Yeah.
For sure.
I didn't even know some of that.
Yeah.
That could definitely play a big factor. I think in America with the men's team, though, you also have competition with a lot more sports than just the soccer leagues too, because you have football, baseball, hockey. So maybe there's more dispersion of some of like the men's athletes because there's not a women's football league.
That's true.
Right. So there's a whole pool of athletes that are going away from soccer and playing football for I feel like the men's sports in America. And football is not a sport that other countries typically play. So
it's true.
I think that could play a role. But the women's national team, amazing.
It's amazing.
Very amazing.
They actually, so today, they're now ranked number 1 in the world. They went from 4 to number 1 because of their performance. So shout out to them.
On top. Number 1 in the world gold medal. Congratulations to the women's national team. So if you guys are watching, like and follow. Congratulations.
And congratulations.
And some other notable performances too. We did great in track and field again. We went away with the gold for the shot put, the 100-meter dash, the 400 meters, 1500.
Yep.
A whole bunch of gold medals for that. I think one of the most impressive performances was honestly Sydney McLaughlin, and I'm going to say the last bit of her last name, Leverone. New Jersey native, so go Jersey.
Union Catholic.
All the way.
Yep, Union Catholic.
So represent Jersey, which is where we're located.
Yeah.
Crushing the hurdles. So much so.
Effortlessly.
So much so that there's some debate of if they're going to raise the height of the hurdles.
That's insane.
How do you feel about that?
No.
That's wild. Like, it's been that way the whole time. She's just showing up and dominating on the track and field, and everyone's just going to have to deal with it, and she's going to set records.
Yeah.
Like, what did they say here? In this article here, the World Athletics president, Sebastian Coe, is thinking about raising the height of the hurdles. And McLaughlin became the first track athlete to break the world record 4 times in the same event and break 4 world records within 13 months. That's amazing. Good for you.
That's insane.
That's is just domination on all levels. And I don't think that they should change the rules because of that. She's just that good. She's gonna keep breaking them anyways. Top of the podium every event. And everyone's just going to have to be okay with that. You just don't change the rules because one player is doing better than everyone. Imagine if they changed the rules of soccer because Messi's just doing better than everybody. Like, that's ridiculous. Yeah. And it's a gold standard that's been set for so many years in the Olympics. So if you change the height of the hurdle, how do you compare future years to past years?
You don't.
Yeah, so you can't change it. You just got to, deal with it, and she's going to keep breaking world records. Yep. She's got a good career ahead of her here. Good for you, Sydney. Keep it going. Great Olympic performance this year. Congratulations. And then we had Simone Biles, which this is maybe her last Olympics. So, and she came in, she won a bunch of golds, and the Olympic gymnastics, in my opinion, a uniquely impressive sport just because of the vestibular aspect to it and your spatial awareness. And I guess the only other comparable to that, I think, would be diving. Yeah. Diving. So having that spatial awareness and where your body is in relation to either the water or a balance beam or the floor while you're spinning rapidly. And if you don't know what your vestibular system is these little canals. They're located in your inner ear, and they basically give us a sense and perception of where we are in space, our body's acceleration in different directions. And when you're spinning in the air during gymnastics or diving, you can get all sorts of discombobulated, which is, what she got some criticism for in the prior Olympics. But that can be pretty serious. And a lot of people struggle with vestibular issues. And to be able to flip around in the air like that and know exactly where your feet need to land or land on a balance beam. I don't know how narrow a balance beam is, but
I don't know the exact dimensions, but I know that I wouldn't land any.
I would be
get a little walk on that.
Going away in an ambulance if I was doing anything gymnastics related. But to be spinning in the air like that, your vestibular system has a huge demand on it. And then to have the spatial awareness to just land on a balance beam or land squarely on the floor where you need to be, incredible.
Yep. Shout out to you guys.
Shout out to you guys as well. So, and then one of the other gymnasts, what was her name? Rebecca
Andrade.
You probably say her last name better than
I don't know how to say it
in
but
English. She was the Brazilian gymnast, and
she was,
she won the floor routine.
She got gold.
She had a specific injury. She had
3 ACL reconstructions.
3?
Yeah, 3. And she somehow made it back out there and won gold. So I think that is notable, in of itself. I feel like a lot of people have an ACL reconstruction and they kind of just give up, they retire. But she was persistent. And
athletes have a hard time coming back from one, at least the ones that I've worked with. And luckily, they've all been able to get back to what they were doing just fine. But some people never come back from 1, let alone 3. And also,
3.
You're running out of parts at that point because you're taking.
Where else are you taking it from?
You're taking the patellar tendon. And then your hamstring.
Possibly your quad tendon.
Possibly the quad. And you're running out of parts. So no more than 3, please. Or else you're going to have to go with a cadaver graft at that point. And those aren't as good as your own. Autographs are better.
And I think a big piece, too, also was the way the sportsmanship aspect of it, that win was as well. How Simone and Jordan, who got bronze. How they kind of just applauded her. They did a whole almost like it was a nice moment to just watch. Them just give them each other praises like that.
Yeah, impressive performances on all of them.
I don't think I don't have that much sportsmanship in me. When I lose, I'm a sore loser. But maybe on national TV, I might
I think they probably all compete against each other on a regular basis.
They do.
On the world
they
stage.
do.
So
yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and Rebecca does the same thing. I think when she's gotten either silver or bronze as well in previous events, she's done the same thing. So
women's weightlifting, we had Olivia Reeves walked away with a gold in women's weightlifting. America doesn't typically win golds in weightlifting, but she is very young relative to a lot of the other weightlifters, and there was an article written about her training schedule. Have you seen the article on her?
I did. It said something about the amount of time that she actually spent training versus what the typical lifter would spend training. And I found it was pretty impressive. It was much shorter in duration, I would say, like, or time per week that she was putting in versus some of the other athletes.
Yeah. So I think I read the same thing, and they were saying that she typically trains around 7.5 hours a week, which isn't a ton of time, but in comparison, when some other Olympians and Olympic weightlifters are training 15 plus hours a week, that's a lot. It's half, right? But I think about that through the lens of exercise science. And, if you have a training program in our musculoskeletal system adapts, our muscles adapt, and protein synthesis to repair after a workout is every 48 to 72 hours. So we can only adapt and get stronger as fast as our cells are going to adapt. So what's the point of adding more training load onto you if we know that your body hasn't fully recovered or can adapt to the training stimulus that we're going to put on it? Like, why are we just going to keep breaking you down when your body hasn't even had a chance to build everything back bigger and stronger, right?
Makes sense.
Her training regimen does make sense in that regard.
For sure.
But it's going to vary between athletes, like, and if you're natural or not. So
that plays a role.
If you're enhanced, your training frequency and volume can be a little more than some natural athletes, but that's just the physiology of it. And I think there's a lot of overtraining issues, especially in like weightlifting. I mean, when we're in the gym and you might see gym bros and stuff like that, they're trying to be in the gym like 40 hours a week. That's just not
feasible.
It's not feasible. Like you're wasting a ton of time, but your body can only adapt so fast. Our cells only work so fast. So to evenly space your training regimen out, I think is a perfectly acceptable way to do it. And it clearly works.
Yeah.
It clearly works. Walking away with the gold. Yeah. A litany of track and field and swimming medals this year too. Those events are unique too because of the, I think, energy metabolism around certain events, right? Like you see it, track and field is amazing too because there's a whole variety of different athlete builds based on, what their event is.
Sure.
And, what they're built to do. And then the energy requirements that go into it, like shot put, really big, really strong. And the toss itself is only a couple seconds.
Yeah.
So primarily you're using what energy system?
Your anaerobic
And creatine phosphate system, right? So with the shot put, we're using our creatine phosphate system, which is like 1 to 3 to 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Right. So we might not even be getting into some of our sugar stores.
Sure.
And then for events like the 100 meters, 400 meters, those are all sub 60 seconds. So then we're definitely in anaerobic metabolism there. And beyond that, we get into the 1,500 plus meter runs, and it's more below the lactate threshold and oxidative and anaerobic. So their body build is very different than that of a sprinter's, right? And you remember the way back in the exercise science stuff about muscle fiber types and which ones are developed with certain types of exercise. Yeah. I think that's the perfect example there, right? Because if you're training below your lactate threshold, which muscle fibers are we going to develop?
The
slow twitch ones, and those ones don't bulk up.
Exactly.
And if we're above our lactate threshold, we're training the
fast twitch ones,
and the type 2. So those ones are going to develop, and we see that with like the sprinters bulk and like the muscle. Track and field, really cool from a exercise physiology standpoint too. But that concludes episode 4 of the Resurgence Athletics Podcast. There were a ton of amazing events out there. So let us know in the comments who you thought was an impressive performance and what you're looking forward to in the next Olympics, and who your favorite Olympian is.
There you go.
Right? I think that's a good question. We gotta promote our Olympians a little bit more. Because I don't feel like some of them get the fair recognition.
This is true.
Because it's only every 4 years, so we got to hype them up every 4 years.
And it's what we talked about earlier too, like the pressure that's on them to go out there. Like how many times have they done that same routine, and flawless, no mistakes, and you go out there. It only takes one wrong step, one, feeling under pressure from family, from fans to just throw it all away.
Yeah, the mental load on some of the athletes, it's once every 4 years. And in terms of training, that would be a full 4-year macro cycle.
Yep.
So, they have championships every year, but the Olympics is what you're really training for some of these events. And so there's a lot of mental pressure too.
Oh, yeah.
And once again, this podcast is brought to you by us. Resurgence Physical Therapy. So if you're looking to sponsor a podcast and get in front of some health conscious and athlete-oriented people or sports-oriented people, let us know. And we'll see you next time.
All right.